Why did you shoot young Ryan on February 24th?
He was attacking Christine. I mean, he was stabbing her. I mean, I wish I shot him earlier.
Brendan Banfield on the stand. Well, he's done with that. The trial now shifting to closing arguments later this morning. This morning, we're going to break down what he said and how he said it. Did he tip the scales in his favor? Thursday, the former IRS officer completed 2 days on the stand. It's arguably the most important witness of the case, obviously. He's, this was it. If you believe him and you're a juror, then maybe he walks. If you don't, like I do, or most of us, then he's going down. Let's talk about it with jury consultant, human behavior expert, Susan Constantine. What did you notice? Let's talk about this. Susan, good morning. Happy Friday.
Good morning.
So, he is a unique dude. Let's take a look at some of the body language and some key moments. Here he is, day one, describing what sparked his affair with the au pair.
During this time, when she was talking about different people, she was described people that she was interested in, people that were taller, people that were older, and it appeared to me that she was, along with the photos, the screenshots that she had shown me of people that she had matched with, that she was basically describing me.
Hey, what stood out to you? To me, I know it stood out, but what about you?
Well, he thinks a lot of himself, doesn't he? So when he says basically, so this is his own opinion. It's not what really happened. So when you say these basically, it's kind of like saying sort of or kind of, but he's describing this moment and then he's smiling at the same time. So there's a sense of arousal that's coming from it. He thinks it's comical. So he's actually relating what he's saying that she said, that it meant him, but he doesn't specifically say that she actually said that. He's assuming.
Yeah, he's so narcissistic that it's like she's talking about men. Yes. She's looking for a tall, handsome man, and he's, oh, you're talking about me, I'm sure. Here he is, day two, describing what he recalled entering his home.
There's regular ceiling over the kitchen and living room area, but in the foyer area that leads to upstairs, which is where I heard the sounds coming from.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you hear?
I heard the sounds of, I would say, moaning, as well as sound of skin-on-skin contact.
And what did you think was going on at that point?
Sex.
All right, here he seems to be, just to me, a non-expert. We're going through the details. What'd you pick up?
This reminds me of a little kid when they look at their mommy and they kind of go into that pout, pout gesture. You'll see his kind of head tilt, head down, and then he actually has a little bit of chin boss. So there is some sadness there. It's not full range, but there is some sort of pouting there. But he also misses the word I. So he says that he pushed open the door, but he doesn't say I pushed open the door. So that is a real problem. And then he's actually, what he's doing is he's telling the story in a chronological linear moment, and then you'll see these little breaks in between each moment. So when you see a change in his verbal dictionary and how he's presenting it, that is troublesome. So he's actually planned it out, what it looks like, where my feet were, where the bed was, and this is very problematic. So the other thing is about him, he's assuming that they're having sex, right? And there's times where when you look at his eye blinking, it actually stops, and then he does an eye closure. So there's a form of blocking. So the question is why did it block? A lot of times people will block when they've come face to face with something that's really bad and they just kind of want to block it out. and also is associated with deception. So they want to block or distance themselves when they're lying. So then at the very end, he does after he makes his statement, you see at the very end of it, then he pops his head down. So it's out of sync. So usually when people are speaking, when it's truthful, their gestures, their head movements, like, no, yes. And then but not with him. At the very end, he's basically saying that, and that's what happened, but it's not positively. So that was the thing that, since that was kind of out of sync, was a little bit odd. So he was over structured when he was giving his analysis. You generally don't see that in a spontaneous response, so it's non-spontaneous. So he is playing this out in real time right in front of you, and that's why you see that break in spontaneity, because there's a jump from one scene to another scene to another scene. So that was problematic for me. So liar, liar, pants on fire there.
Yeah. Oh, Julie would like that. Let's see how he reacts to Cross from the Commonwealth, the hard part.
These are the wounds on the left side of her neck, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And if I can have the witness and the jury take a look at previously admitted Commonwealth 25, also under seal. And these are the wounds on the right side of her neck, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And she's chatting with you with these wounds in her neck, correct?
Yes, her voice is very hoarse. She was having difficulty speaking, but yes, she was talking to me.
All right. Combative back and forth during this cross. At this moment, it's key because he's talking about his wife who is bleeding out. And he goes on to say that she looked at him and said, "I'm sorry, I love you." What did you pick up in his mannerisms?
Well, when you're throughout, what we're seeing is this form of self-pity. We see where his head goes down. He's showing this sadness, but see right there, it's like that puppy dog, like sadness. That is performance. That's not real. That in itself it's missing a couple of the elements because we don't really see the eyebrows going in the middle. We see more of that, puppy dog response. So I don't really believe it. So the fact that he had mentioned that her voice was hoarse, I agree with him. I think that part was true. Now,
but she didn't say "I love you." I'm sure she said "you."
Exactly. Right. So what they do is they pick out and choose what they want to say. We know this. And then we've got a lot of the eye closure, the blocking. He does that throughout. And if you notice that he's kind of jumpy throughout, that's cognitive load. He knows he's under a lot of pressure to perform. So he's trying to perform. There's a lot of anxiety. It's kind of like a teapot. The steam is really boiling and you see it with him jittery. But what we're looking for is things of moments where that shift. And he does shift quite a bit. So even though he thinks he's putting on a really good performance, there are all kinds of indicators in there where he's pausing, he's hesitating. It's not spontaneous. The emotions are not consistent with what we know as being truthful or consistent with it, that actual emotion. Because I study how to read all of the muscles in the face. I know what needs to fire when it needs to fire. And it's not. Right there was not that was more like, believe me. Believe me. It's really more of a plea to believe him.
Was this rehearsed?
So, anyway.
Was this all rehearsed in his jail cell?
The problem. Oh, yeah. See, the problem is with these guys or anybody that's in jail, that's why they become very linear, because they try to fit all the pieces together based on the evidence. So they have to reconstruct their story. And they tend to do it in a very linear, chronological way. That's not how real stories work, especially in high intensity, right? You're going to jog around, you're going to come back here and say, but then I forgot that, and so forth. That's normal, right? That we want to look for something that's non-spontaneous. So anyway, through this, yes, he's lying, pants on fire.
He's a liar. Susan, as always, thank you.
He's a liar.
Enjoy your weekend. We'll see what the jury thinks.
You too.